I want to bring in Fox News contributor now, Scott Martin. Scott, you heard Craig Johnson there, the likelihood, the expectation of a 20% pullback sort of correction. What's your reaction to what he said?
Been there, heard that. I guess this is what makes a market, though, doesn't it, Stuart? You know, we're both, Craig and I are kind of on opposite sides. I've been on the show with them a bunch. I do respect their research. But I'll tell you, I mean, haven't we heard this story for the last, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years? I mean, you know what I mean? There's supposed to be a double-dip recession after the first one back in '08, and that never happened. Here's the reality. Craig's partly right. Some of the stocks are extended. That's true. Parabolic? I don't know. You want to see a parabola? Look at Bitcoin prices. That's a parabola. To me, it's a little bit of aggressive growth in a lot of these stocks that he mentioned, the Boeing, the Caterpillars. But my goodness, guys, if you look at this historic tax passage that we just had, which, to Craig's point, this is not a normal market. This is a market that's going to be really juiced. So the fact that companies can trade on these higher earning multiples makes sense to me. The fact that we have GDP consistently, I think, over 3% this year, maybe even pushing 4%, is a reason that you should still be excited about stocks. Yes, okay. I do think the higher we go, the farther we could fall, but I don't think it's anytime soon.
All right, Scott, we asked you to tell our viewers, what are you buying? And I know that you're going to start with PayPal. Make the case to buy PayPal now, because I'm pretty sure it's close to a high. I don't follow it, but it's at $80 a share. You would buy it at 80. Why?
Yes, and we've actually owned it, Stuart, since the 60s. And it's this old saying of, you know, cash was kind of so 2016. And those credit cards, you know, the plastic stuff in your wallet was like kind of 2017. PayPal and some of these other electronic payment systems are 2018, Stuart. And if you look, PayPal's behind a lot of the online transactions that you do, whether you know it or not. And they've got amazing earnings power. They're getting that growth both in the U.S. and internationally, and that's why we like them here.
Okay, now you also like the big tech stocks. Now, we always put up the 5 big techs. We put them up all the time, and you like 4 of them, as I understand it. The only one you don't like is Apple. So tell me why. Let's start with the top of the list there is Facebook, now at 179. Why buy it at 179?
I'll tell you, I was really excited about what happened last week with Facebook, and they're talking about how they were chasing the newsfeed ads and things like that, or the newsfeeds items that come up on your screen, because that was an opportunity for those who missed this run in Facebook, which you and I have talked about a lot, Stuart. You look at the mobile ad growth in Facebook alone, it's a reason to buy it. But besides the fact that Zuckerberg and some of the crew are actually taking steps to improve their business model, they're addressing concerns, which a lot of tech companies back in the day, if you remember, used to not do that. They're being responsive. That's why I like Facebook. The only reason I don't like Apple, I feel like, is it's a little over-owned here. I feel like their ecosystem is getting breached here and there. They've lost that music race. We see Spotify coming out with an IPO, which I do like in a couple months, by the way. I think Apple's the one in those big tech names, tech stocks, that I would avoid here.
Okay, the other one, I want to concentrate on Amazon for a minute. Right now, it's at $1,330 a share. You like it. You would buy it at that price?
I would, and I saw you talking with Bert Flinkinger, I think it was, earlier in the show around 9 a.m. Eastern about Amazon getting investigated for the antitrust DOJ stuff. Here's the problem with that. I feel like Amazon, just in their earnings growth alone and the fact that they're such a big part of all our lives, Amazon Prime is the gateway drug to internet spending, if I may say that. And that's why Amazon Prime and other things that are out there with respect to Amazon are going to be really good. But I'll tell you why I don't believe the antitrust deal. If you look at antitrust in history, it's companies that take advantage and say price pressure consumers, which is not happening. Amazon is bringing down prices, and they're making things so much easier for the consumer to buy, which is not antitrust, as we've seen in the past.
I'm going to throw 2 Bitcoin stories at you. South Korea says it's still considering a ban on Bitcoin, and 80% of all available Bitcoins have already been mined, so to speak. Why are prices down this morning, $1,600 a share, a coin, I should say?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's kind of that opposite side of the parabola we touched on. You know, Bitcoin probably, it kind of took the elevator up, as the saying kind of goes, or the escalator up. It really took the elevator up, and it's probably jumping out the window here. And I'll tell you what's interesting is a lot of investors that I know, I'm a recovering Bitcoin holder, so we don't hold it. We aren't buying it here. A lot of investors are getting out of, if you want to call it investing, getting out of Bitcoin and getting in some of the other cryptos, Stuart. So that's why I think a lot of those prices are getting pressured. And the fact that I think people are realizing that maybe Bitcoin isn't that true alternative like gold or some of the alternatives that are out there that people have bought in the past.
Tell me about GE. It's down today. The CEO says maybe considering breaking the company out, breaking it apart, breaking it up, I should say. Is this the time to get into GE at 1826?
It's really close. It's feverishly close. I can feel it. You know, John Layfield and I talk about that a lot, who I think he's a good, long-standing GE owner. I'm not quite ready yet, but things in GE, just like they were in retail, we talked about this on the show, it's on tape in December, things are getting so bad at GE, they're talking about breaking it up, they're talking about cutting the dividend, and it's going to go to, 15 or whatever. Things are so bad in GE that they're almost going to be good. It's just not quite here yet, but we're searching for a spot to get into GE.
We hear you, Scott Martin. Thanks for joining us on an historic day. We appreciate it. Thank you, Scott. We'll see you again soon. Now.